Hi there, it's Joseph, and today we're exploring the San Juan de Dios, or St. John of God Cemetery, right behind the St. John of God Church. And this is where the wealthy Spanish used to be buried. And then in today's world, to the right, what's now an elementary school, that used to be the Indigenous Hospital. And next to it, what's now today's DIF, the Senior Center, was the Indigenous Graveyard. So every now and then when DIF, the Senior Center, is doing some remodeling work, they'll stumble upon an old grave. And that Indigenous Hospital, what's now the school, is how the street Indio Triste, or Sad Indian, got its name, because there was a gentleman that used to play sad love songs for his wife who was in the hospital there. In today's world, the cemetery is filled with formerly living and wealthy Spaniards that no one remembers now. So it's usually locked up, because like many cemeteries around the world, once they're abandoned, they become a scene for crimes. But this will reopen every Day of the Dead, November 1st and 2nd. And since there's no one living now that remembers these folks, the city itself will decorate it for Day of the Dead. It's very pretty in a Pixar-esque sort of way. It's a different feeling than going to the Guadalupe Cemetery. That's the oldest, most active cemetery, because with the tomb tax there, everyone there has someone who remembers them. So, in a way, it's a very living cemetery, and every tomb will be decorated differently. Like I said, this gets decorated, but by the city, and it's pretty in its unique way, but not quite the same experience in terms of energy and feel. For those of you who are movie buffs, you can sometimes see this cemetery in the background of some of the Cantinflas movies, the Mexican comedian of the 50s and 60s, where you also see it featured heavily as in a John Gavin movie. John Gavin was the guy who played Janet Leigh's boyfriend in Psycho. And then later on in the 80s, under the Reagan administration, he was a U.S. ambassador to Mexico. He did a very famous movie here based on a great work of Mexican literature, the name escapes me for the moment. But basically the plot was he comes back to Mexico after his father dies to see his family and realizes that everyone in the village is dead. But in any case, you'll see the cemetery a lot in that particular movie. Until next time, have a good rest of your day.